Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll. Everybody freeze!
Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new edition of Culture Vultures, your podcast that covers everything pop and culture from the early 70s, possibly even part of the 60s, maybe right up until now. As always, I'm Dean, your cheeky little devil. This week I have been mostly identifying as a 15th century gin salesman with a seriously bad dandruff issue. And as always, I'm joined by my lovely good buddy, Kev. How you diddly ding dong doing there, Kevin?
I'm doing absolutely lovely there, darling. Lovely. Flash by name, flash by nature.
Lovely. Since we last recorded, the time just seems to have flown by. I mean, it feels like it's been a matter of minutes rather than a week or however long it is, you know.
I know. Where does that time go? I don't know, my friend. I don't know.
Got no fucking idea. You kids, you don't know you're bloody born.
I knock. You four-eyed pile of shit.
A pile of shit has 1,000 eyes.
So anyone who's listened to this in the future, hopefully we are out of lockdown and starting to get back into the shops to buy ourselves those lovely items that we only could dream about where we're talking now. Or there's been a huge apocalypse and you're all eating rats.
Now, what shall we talk about?
This is
Democracy Manifest.
the 1991 version, the only version of the incredible action-packed Point Break.
Listen, you snot-nosed little shit! I was taking shrapnel and K-Sod while you were crapping in your hands and rubbing it on your face! You mad? Yeah, I'm mad!
Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Now, this film is pure fucking testosterone. No pissing about. Fucking gets on with it, gets the job done, and fucks off. Absolutely brilliant. All under like 2 hours, and it centers around a young FBI agent played by Keanu Reeves called
Johnny Utah,
who goes undercover with a gang of surfers led by Patrick Swayze, who plays a character called Bodie, and these surfers might just be bank robbers or the bank robbers that the LAPD still need to catch.
Catch him, Derry! Derry, catch him!
He partners up with Mr. Gary Busey with those chompers.
Double meatball.
Yeah, the Utah, give me two. Oh, classic. I was going to say what you're saying there, though, about how it's 100% thing, but the tagline in it is 100% pure adrenaline.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually one of my notes here. Just pure adrenaline, pure adrenaline, pure testosterone. Yeah. Absolutely fucking just on the edge of your seat. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant film.
Yeah, probably one of the best action films of the 90s
of all time.
Great cast of all time. Didn't like the remake. Well, I haven't even seen it. I won't even have it in the house, son.
No, not at all. It don't come anywhere near my manor, I tell you.
No, but yeah, Point Break, fucking amazing film.
It just gets on with it, like straight in. I mean, it's a tall ask. It's a tall order for him, isn't it? I mean, you know, he's fresh into the FBI. He's fresh into a new department, and he thinks, fuck it, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to take over the biggest case and I'm going to solve it. I'm going to get on with it. And the film just does that. Just comes straight in, snowball straight in, and it's just a roller coaster. And it doesn't let up. They don't waste any time.
No.
And it's just scene after scene after scene of just incredible moments. How do what are your thoughts of that? What's your thoughts of Point Break?
I think it's really good, like you say. He comes in, he joins the FBI, but I think it's kind of like they've given up. Basically, the department's given up on trying to catch these guys that are doing it because they're so elusive. As it says in the beginning, they don't get greedy, they don't do the safe, they just do work the crowd, do the front of house, take the money and go. So we don't know it at the time, but it turns out that they're all sort of surfing adrenaline junkies. They're stealing money to take so that they can go abroad throughout the rest of the year, surfing their way around the world.
Sorry, Johnny. Looks like you don't get to be president.
Gary Busey's character is the only one who's kind of got this theory because of them finding some wax at one of the crime scenes, and it turns out to be sex wax, which is what the surfers use to rub up and down their boards to get friction. So Keanu Reeves just says, well, let's go with it and let's go and do it. So they straight out undercover, aren't they?
Gets his surfboard.
Johnny Utah, a surfer, yeah. Gets his surfboard. Gets his surfboard on.
Get it on. But it's like you say there. I mean, like, the idea of them being these bank robbers is just so that it funds them for a summer to go and do the things that they enjoy. And I really like that. I like that it's not this overblown, overcomplicated fucking headache of a reason. It's nothing to do with revenge. It's nothing to do with politics. It's nothing to do with anything like that. It's just adrenaline junkies can't be fucking asked to go out and get a job. So therefore they think, okay, well, we risk life and limb in the sea, in the air. What's a really daring way of making money? We'll go rob some banks, because it's all about the adrenaline. It's about the rush. And I love that. It's just such a simple movie. And that's what really, really makes it.
Yeah. And they call themselves the Dead Presidents because they all wear masks of ex-presidents, don't they? Like Swayze's Ronald Reagan, and you got Jimmy Carter, Nixon, and another one. I don't know who that is.
Oh, the car? Is that all?
That's all.
Well, why didn't you tell me? Oh, here's the keys.
Oh, thank you.
Here's my apology.
Keanu Reeves is like out surfing. He's obviously not very good because he's just started doing it, and he pisses off some locals, and ends up getting started on back on the beach by this guy's gang. And one of the members of the gang is Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's it, yeah.
he's got a ridiculous long Mr. T hairstyle. Sort of, it's a Mr. T cut, but it's all like in.
It's like plaits, but
it's all
he's got these little
yeah.
tufty bits over his ears as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So they obviously have a fight and what have you. Swayze comes to the rescue and beats him up as well. So he befriends Bodie, Patrick Swayze's character, and at that point he thinks they're all right, and he thinks that Anthony Kiedis' gang are the ones that are doing these robberies. He gets onto Gary Busey, tells him what he thinks, and then they start following this gang back to where they live, etc. And they decide they're going to scope it out and then go for a raid the next day. But what's brilliant about that is because it's like Gary Busey he goes right, and he's walking up pretending he's lost his dog. So he's got a dog there. Scooby, where are Scooby?
Is it? You see my dog? No, man.
It's a little dog. You see my little dog? And they're all seeing that they're starting to realise there's people around. When Busey knocks on the door to try and pretend he's looking for his dog, but giving him a better chance to catch him off guard. But they all start panicking in this house and start pulling out shitloads of guns, machine guns and God knows what. And it starts kicking off because then they kind of realise that they've got to go in for the bust. But Anthony Kiedis runs through the house. Like, this is not supposed to be funny, but he runs through the house and sort of tries to hide behind a bedroom door. But in the process of doing that, his gun goes off and blows half his foot off.
No, he's trying to get out of the front. He's trying to get to the front door, isn't he? As he approaches the front door, the coppers come in, squash him. His gun goes off, shoots himself in the toe. And he's like, ah! With his Union Jack shorts on.
Gary Busey pushes his way into the house, and the woman who's having a shower, she just kind of bursts out and starts beating the shit out of him, as naked as the day she was born. Just not caring and just sort of beating the crap out of him.
She actually toes the shit out of Johnny Utah as well, don't she? Head in the mirror, kicks him in the nuts, down on the floor.
Old knockers are going all over the place.
Giving it what for.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
It's moments like that, because even the way you led it up with the fight on the beach is one of my favourite scenes in that film, and it's got a line in it that I quote all the time. Even the missus quotes it, and that's like when they all come round, or Johnny Utah, they turn the shower off, don't they? And he's like, I know I'm like the new kid here, and I know it's not supposed to be like part of my territory, and you're here to tell me that.
Yuppie insects like me shouldn't be surfing your break and all that, right?
Nope.
Anthony Kiedis sort of goes,
That would be a waste of time. We're just gonna fuck you up.
and it just goes into this really sort of macho fight sequence where Swayze turns up and does a bit of karate.
They're such troopers. And I want to do the rules, but I don't want to do it at their death.
When they're in the house and they're doing the raid, Tom Sizemore is in the he's like in the kitchen on the table.
Oh, Scagnetti, yeah.
Scagnetti on Scagnetti. Yeah, he's yeah, but if you watch him, he's first of all he's not paying any attention. So he's got like a bowl of cereals and he's pouring beer on it.
That's it. It cause.
Yeah, and then the police burst in and sort of push him over, and he's going no, and he sort of goes over the table. And they're cuffing him from behind. And then, of course, when all the chaos has settled down and everything, you find out that Tom Sizemore is already an undercover cop, and he's been scoping him out for 3 months because they're into doing a load of coke deals and stuff.
He's a DEA agent, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Do you think I like this hair, man?
I can't remember what his name is in it, because he said, Gary Busey says that to him. Nice tattoo. Oh, yeah, you like that, Peppers? You like that, Peppers? Fuck you.
I love this fucking job.
Okay. 90 seconds door to door. It's a small price to pay for someone who loves you.
They've just hit the bank, haven't they? Utah he's just got Gary Busey's 2 meatballs and his lemonade. And then basically it all kicks off, and then they start chasing him in the car. So it starts off with a car chase, and then Patrick Swayze's gang, their car gets sort of fucked up a bit, and they have to pull into a gas station. He lights it on fire to destroy the car and the evidence and stuff. And then with that, Utah comes out of nowhere, takes him out American football style, because he was an American footballer, wasn't he, before joining the force?
That's right, yeah.
And then that's it. And then the gang sort of drive off because Gary Busey's shooting at them. And then it goes into this running chase between Swayze and Reeves. And it's so fucking great, isn't it? I mean, they go through everything. They go through fucking houses. They go down alleyways. They go through little paddling pools. They go over fences. They go over gates. And it's just like the camera is like, you're just right there in that moment with them, and they're just brilliant bit where Swayze goes, he jumps over a fence, through a paddling pool, through a house, and actually takes the time to stop, turn around, and lock the patio door.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. And then Keanu Reeves just sort of runs up and, without even thinking about it, he's like, "Fuck this." Crashes through it over the table, gets battered by some old bird. He's like, "Ah! Get out of my house!" And when he does get out of the house, Patrick Swayze's also stopped once again. He's got a dog. And he fucking throws Keanu Reeves the dog. like, got a face full of dog. Oh.
The best thing about that bit is when they throw it, it's really fucking that one. He throws the dog at him and obviously he's like, but then he sort of like drops it and toe punts it like he is playing football.
Yeah. Fucking away you go. Go on. And then that continues. And then it's the same as a similar, a few things that are kind of the same, down alleyways, over fences and stuff. Eventually they get to this, like, basically it's the bit out of Terminator 2, isn't it, where T-1000 turns up and Arnie's on the bike and stuff. But Keanu Reeves, the reason he's no longer a footballer and he missed his shot is because he twists his knee in a game, so he's got problems with his knee. So when he's chasing Swayze over this, he goes over a ledge, Patrick Swayze, and he runs off. When Keanu Reeves does it, he twists his knee again and he's fucked. He pulls his gun. It's the only thing he's got now.
Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves has got his gun, he's pulled his gun, and Patrick Swayze is on top of this fence trying to get away, and he turns around, and then there's just that moment where they're both looking at each other, and they both know that Utah can put him down there and then, but he doesn't, and he just lets off that round of bullets into the sky. Because he wants to catch him on foot, he doesn't want to put him down that way. He's also got that admiration, isn't he? He's been undercover with him for a while now, and there is a real bond that has really sort of begun, isn't there?
I think that's what it is.
Brotherhood.
He likes it. You look at each other. He knows it's him. He clearly could have took him out because he lets loads of rounds off up in the air, and then Pappas, when he goes back, says, you draw your gun in future, you hit your target.
That's it, yeah.
Because he knows, because Pappas knows that he could have got him.
Yeah. So, yeah, because at the moment, Swayze's got the president's mask on, so Utah knows it's Bodhi and the other way around. But that's, again, what's great about this film is also the characters. And, they meet, and then very quickly there's this friendship that is established and a brotherhood, and then they become basically family, don't they?
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves is just torn between taking down this guy and the bank robbers and stuff, but also he doesn't want to take down the friend and the brother that he is now got. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's plausible. It's very believable.
Yeah, I think it is believable. That's sort of you're absolutely right. One of the bits I do really like this, and it is kind of a more unbelievable part of the film, is when obviously Swayze kind of he manages to get Keanu Reeves to pull a bank job with him because Swayze's kidnapped his girlfriend and obviously threatening her life. So he goes in and does this bank job. That goes wrong because someone sort of off-duty cop draws his gun, starts shooting some of them, and they say, you're breaking your own rules, taking too long. One of them gets shot. He's out of the game, one of the bank robbers. Another one gets shot, and they have to take him with him. He's injured. Patrick Swayze just leaves Keanu Reeves there. When all the police turn up, they start cuffing him, Keanu Reeves, and obviously taking him in. And his boss, Keanu Reeves' boss.
Oh, John C. McGinley.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
He's been a dick throughout all of it, like all these like chiefs are like in these films. But then he says something to because Gary Busey's like, don't take him, let me take him in, take the cuffs off him and everything like that. And he starts having a go at Gary Busey. He says,
I mean, you're just as bad as he is. Only you're a little fatter, you're a little slower, and a little more pathetic. For Christ's sake, it's like the blind leading the blind with you.
Harp, I want to tell you something. I was in this bureau when you were still popping zits on your funny face and jacking off to the lingerie section of the Sears catalog.
Is that right, Pappas?
Yes, that's right, Harp. And there's one thing that I learned out of all these years that you still haven't got.
Yeah? Why don't you astonish me, shitface?
It just sparks him right out.
Fucking clocks him, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he just goes,
respect for my elders. Plain and simple. Come on, kid.
But that's really good. I like that. And then that kind of leads on to the airport where they're going to try and escape. Patrick Swayze jumps out and leaves Keanu Reeves on the plane without a parachute. So with that, with a few seconds of him sort of thinking, oh, whatever, I don't know what to do, he just fucking jumps out of the plane without a parachute on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's so many moments there where he just thinks, oh, fuck it. So like, I'll just jump out of a plane without a parachute, but I'll grab a pistol, fuck it, because that's really going to work whilst I'm skydiving. I'm gonna run through a patio and I'm just going to fling a chair through it, and then I'm going to, as you say, toe punt a dog off the porch. It's just there's no time to think, is there? It's just reaction.
There was a thing on a program called Mythbusters who looked into this, and they did determine that that both Utah and Bodhi would have not been able to free fall for 90 seconds like they do in the film, nor would they have been able to hold a conversation in midair. But it does say, however, that by streamlining his body, Utah could have conceivably caught up with Bodhi after jumping from the plane.
Yeah, that's absolutely believable. Absolutely. But in terms of like the dialogue, yeah, it took me back to I did a skydive about a year and a half ago, and that was the one thing the instructor said to us when we were doing our training. He said, "Don't even fucking bother to try and say anything to us." He said, because by the time you've said something, and then I reply, we've dropped something like 500 foot.
Yeah.
500 feet, sorry. So it's just like, there's just no point. And then when you're out there, you know, the last thing you want to be doing is talking, because it's just drying your mouth up. So yeah, that was interesting. Like, they managed to get all these lines of dialogue in there. Adds to the drama, though, I suppose. The drama.
Say in, action. Wizard, you shall not pass! Cut! Say in.
The final scene, for me, is my second favourite scene out of the film, after the chase sequence, when Keanu Reeves catches up with Patrick Swayze at Bells Beach in Australia. Because during a scene earlier in the film, they're talking about the greatest waves, the biggest and best surf in the world, and they go around sort of like the gang around the campsite, and they're pulling out all these names, and Swayze turns around and says,
Bells Beach, Australia.
Whoa. No way Bells is bigger than Waimea, bro.
Will be next year.
Bodhi believes the 50-year storm is coming next year.
50-year storm? What's that?
After he escapes at the end of the film, there's a period of time that elapses, and Keanu Reeves tracks him down. He's been like tracking him around the world, and he finally catches up with him in Bells Beach, and it's these waves, these fucking waves. You've never known anything like it. And he says previously, doesn't he, old Patrick Swayze, there's nothing wrong with doing what you do, and if you want to do the ultimate thing, you need to pay the ultimate price.
Yeah.
And they had this little brawl, because Keanu Reeves like, you know, I've caught up with you. You got to come in with me. You've got to pay for what you've done. And they had this little brawl, and you think Patrick Swayze's beat him. He's sort of beating the shit out of Reeves, trying to drown him, and Reeves has got the upper hand. He handcuffs him, and then that's it. But Patrick Swayze, or Bodhi, he would rather die doing what he enjoys than to sit in a cell. He can't be in a cell. That's what he says. You know, for him, it's all about the energy of the world and riding the waves, and you know, he can't be confined. So then Johnny Utah lets him go, and then by that time the Rozzers turn up. There's just that brilliant line in which the copper says, "Oh, don't worry about it. What have you done? Don't worry about it. We'll get him when he comes back." And Utah just struts off in his double denim, and he just says, "He's not coming back." And I love that you're letting him do what he does, what he loves in life, and he is paying the ultimate sacrifice. He's not coming back. There's cliffs on both sides, but he just lets him crack on. And then what I didn't get right is throughout this film, even from the moment, like the opening sequence of the film, which is fucking brilliant because it establishes both the characters, Johnny Utah on a firing range and Bodhi on the waves. So contrasting. And you just see how good a surfer Bodhi is. And you see it several times through the film. He finally gets to his dream place where he wants to surf. He don't even fucking last like a wave. He don't even get up on his board and he's on his fucking arse.
And his fucking shit is bottle wet.
Fucking Swayze,
you fucking bottle wet. My opinion on that last thing has changed, obviously, since watching it when I was younger. I do agree with what you say. It is good he lets him go. But it's when Swayze's going, I can't be put in a cage, man, and all this. It's just like, well, yeah, that's your punishment, mate. You're going to have to fucking get put in a cage, all right? No more surfing for you, Mr. Swayze.
Buddy, this is your fucking wake-up call, man.
It's a really, really good film. And when I was looking at some of the old Factoroonies, the film came close to going into production in like 1986, so it could have well been a 80s movie. And the people that were considered to be Johnny Utah was Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick? Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, fucking Ferris Bueller, yeah. Johnny Depp, which would have been awful because he's a cunt. Val Kilmer, or Charlie Sheen.
Ooh.
And I did want Ridley Scott to direct it.
I think it would have been more of a Tony Scott film. I mean, it was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who was married to James Cameron at the time, wasn't it? I don't know about Ridley Scott, but I definitely could see a Tony Scott film. And it was interesting that you say that it could have been made in the 80s, because this film, even though it was 91, really, for me, really does feel like an 80s action movie.
Yeah, it was really good start to the 90s, that film.
Yeah, I mean, I love looking up my own little Factoroonies myself. It's usually the first thing I do if I haven't already rated it on IMDb. But interestingly, that Swayze did all of his own stunts in this one, which I already knew about, but I didn't know that he had done like 55 skydiving jumps, and that he was an acclaimed skydiver before this. And then during the production, the studio would not let him skydive outside of the filming. But yet he would go off and, he would do some skydiving when he could. And interestingly, he kept trying to coax Gary Busey into doing it.
Really?
Yeah, and then he finally did. After the film, Gary Busey agreed and they went and did a skydive.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about, Phil. Not a fucking clue.
It wasn't called Point Break until about halfway through the filming.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, they wanted to just call it Johnny Utah.
Well, like John Wick.
Yeah, when Keanu Reeves was cast at Johnny Utah. But the studio said that doesn't give enough information about the fact that Swayze's in it and surfing and stuff. And then they wanted to call it Riders on the Storm after the famous Doors song.
Yeah.
But then they thought, well, the lyrics to that song have also got nothing to
do with the film.
Surfing or anything. But I think Gary Busey was in a surfing film. I don't know if it's in the early 70s or just in the 70s, called Big Wednesday, which is quite a famous surfing film. So I think that's why they got him to do it.
Another interesting one is the beach in which they play football on. So when they discover who Johnny Utah is, being this college superstar footballer, that beach that they're playing football on is the same beach that they play football, or what the Americans would call it soccer. In the original Karate Kid.
Yeah.
In the original Karate Kid.
That's cool.
Lovely. Yeah, brilliant little one. No, brilliant little factoroon.
Lovely.
Soccer. I bought picnic in my Tupperware box. Only jerks and horses. Delroy Trotter.
Good. Hold on to these, will you? Keep you in curry for a few weeks, won't it?
I fucking love Point Break, and I always tend to revisit that film, possibly once a year or every other year. And I'm going to put myself out there and give that a 10 out of 10, mate, because that is probably my favourite action movie.
It's fucking solid.
This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
It's one of the very best action movies of all time. And I absolutely love this film. Absolutely love it. So, yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yes, the surfboard bothers me. Yes, your approach to this whole goddamn case bothers me. And yes, you bother me!
Do you fancy having a little bit of seeing if I can tickle your fancy?
What have you got for me?
Well, I'm going to send you the first one through. It's coming through now.
blue dog smelling ginger boy's ring piece for 50 quid. Listed about an hour ago in Canterbury, England. It's a little porcelain child with his pants down with a dirty bumhole and a blue dog sitting on his bum, giving it a good old fucking sniff. Where do they get these wonderful toys from?
Here comes the next
Okay, so the image is quite a large lass smoking a cigarette with a high vis on, and she's got what looks like some sort of truck tattoo. She's looking quite stern, quite meaty. That kind of look at sort of, what the fuck are you looking at? And the title is The Girl with the Wagon Tattoo.
Right. This is my favourite one that I found this week. Okay,
save the best till last.
Right, here it comes. Good one. Are you able to explain what I've said?
I don't think what I can.
No. Okay.
Well, the tagline is the worst Lethal Weapon remake ever, and you've got a very bored Trevor McDonald sat next to a very crusty Cliff Richard.
Sir Cliff Richard.
They're definitely too old for that shit.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Did you hear anything this week about the defacing of the Hollywood sign?
No, not at all.
I think it was in the early hours, either earlier this week or last week.
Have they spelt a rude word?
Well, sort of, but not really. They changed the W and the D into B's, so it said Holly Boob.
Holly Boob,
right? And what Holly Boob? So what they did is they put tarpaulin over the W, which was the B, and then they changed the D into a B. 6 people have been arrested regarding it, but it was kind of like sort of a statement or a sort of a protest against the fact that this woman who owns Vice magazine was banned from, I don't know if it's Instagram or Twitter or one of them, for pictures that kind of show nudity or partial nudity, even though they allow Playboy and different, I guess, Hollywood actresses on there with next to nothing. So it's a bit of a protest thing, but I just thought...
I'll just look at the picture now.
I just thought, it's not even that good, though, is it? It's not even... This doesn't look good.
No.
Holly Boo.
But... Oh, well.
But I would have just changed the Holly to morning.
Yeah. You'd have to get a few extra letters in there, though, wouldn't you? But if you had enough tarpaulin, just wrap up the Holly and a bit of morning wood.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about Point Break, which is a fucking awesome film. So if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Turn us boring fuckers off and go and watch Point Break, babies.
1991, the 91 version, the only version.
Don't watch the new one, it's shit.
What a piece of junk.
If you want to pop us an email, podculturevultures@gmail.com. We're on the old Facey-bookie, Podculture Vultures. You can twat us at Twitter, PodcultureV, and we're on Instagram at Podculture Vultures, one word.
Perfect.
Give us a shout, give us a like. Lovely.
Lovely. Right, so until next time, you fuckstains, we're off. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our love for you is ticking clock, berserker. Would you like to suck my cock, Belzerker?